Did you know that in 2025, 10 European countries are enforcing harsh measures against Filipino immigrants, with mass deportations taking place right now? Some of these nations may truly surprise you. Stay with us as we count down from number 10 to the most aggressive country on the list. But before we begin, let us know in the comments where you are watching from. We worked very hard on this video, so please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Your support allows us to keep bringing you more updates like this. Now, let's dive in. Number 10. Italy. Italy, a country admired for its art, history, and iconic cities such as Rome and Venice, has become a difficult place for Filipinos in 2025. The Italian government has started deporting many immigrants after implementing stricter visa rules. Officials say their priority is to provide jobs for European Union citizens first. As a result, more than 1,200 Filipinos were sent back to the Philippines in just 6 months. Most had been working as domestic helpers, caregivers, and cleaners, many of them building stable lives in Italy for years. Rising unemployment among Italians has led the government to tighten its monitoring of immigrants. Even those who have lived and worked in the country for decades are now being forced to leave. Families are being separated, and many Filipinos fear stepping outside their homes, worried about being caught and deported. Filipino communities are protesting, pointing out that their contributions strengthened Italy's economy, particularly during the pandemic. However, the far-right government shows no signs of stopping the deportations, and with no intervention from the European Union, the future remains uncertain for many Filipinos who risk losing everything they worked so hard to build. Number 9. Germany. Germany has long been a top destination for skilled Filipino workers, especially in the healthcare sector. Filipino nurses once played a crucial role in addressing shortages in hospitals. But in 2025, Germany tightened its immigration policies, resulting in more than 900 Filipinos being deported. Many lost their visas over seemingly minor issues such as missing paperwork or failing updated language tests. Officials describe these requirements as integration laws, but critics argue they unfairly target immigrant workers. Even those with steady jobs have faced deportation for small errors in their documents. Hospitals have voiced concerns, warning that losing experienced Filipino staff will negatively impact patient care. Despite this, the government has not reversed its decision. Public opinion in Germany has shifted, with more citizens supporting reduced immigration. Advocacy groups are calling for amnesty, but the government's focus remains on cutting migration. Germany's reputation as a welcoming country for foreign workers is fading fast, leaving many Filipinos anxious about their future. Number 8. Switzerland. Switzerland, known for its high wages, clean cities, and breathtaking Alps, has also begun deporting Filipino workers at a rapid pace in 2025. The Swiss government introduced new labor quotas, prioritizing European Union workers over non-Europeans. More than 800 Filipinos, many of them employed in hotels, cleaning, and childcare, have already been sent home. Officials justify the move as a way to protect jobs for locals, but Filipinos argue that they take on jobs that Swiss citizens often refuse. Even those who had lived in Switzerland for years and supported families back home are now being denied visa renewals. Some deported individuals return to the Philippines with no homes to go back to. Advocacy groups have condemned the policy as cruel, particularly since Switzerland continues to face labor shortages in many industries. Protests have erupted across Swiss cities, with employers joining Filipinos in demanding change. Still, the government insists strict immigration control is necessary, leaving thousands of Filipinos uncertain about their future. Number 7. Austria. Austria, home to the cultural capital of Vienna, was once considered a safe and peaceful country for Filipino immigrants. But in 2025, that image changed. The government, led by right-wing leaders, launched a strict campaign against foreigners who overstayed their visas. More than 700 Filipinos have already been deported, most of them caregivers for Austria's elderly. Filipino workers traditionally provided essential care in nursing homes, work that locals were often unwilling to take on. With many of them gone, families are now struggling to find assistance for elderly relatives. While many Austrians are frustrated, accusing the government of hurting its own citizens, officials defend the policy by insisting that jobs should go to Austrians first. The Filipino community is fighting back, with protests growing in Vienna and other cities. Some Austrian politicians are calling for exceptions for essential workers, but so far, the government has refused to listen. With upcoming elections, public pressure could bring change, but for now, long-term Filipino residents are being sent away with little warning. Number 6. Sweden. Sweden has always been seen as a humanitarian and welcoming country. Yet in 2025, it began deporting Filipino immigrants in significant numbers. The government cut work permits for non-European Union citizens, heavily affecting Filipinos in the technology, healthcare, and cleaning sectors. So far, more than 600 Filipinos have been deported. Many came to Sweden legally, only to be denied visa renewals. Officials claim that the workers failed to integrate properly, but language tests have recently become much more challenging. As a result, families are being torn apart, with parents deported while their children, born and raised in Sweden, are left behind. Critics argue that Sweden is abandoning its humanitarian values. Protests are taking place nationwide, with human rights groups pursuing legal action. Even businesses are worried about losing skilled workers. However, with anti-immigrant sentiment growing, it remains uncertain if the government will soften its stance. For now, Filipinos in Sweden live in fear of being forced to leave. Number 5. Norway. Norway, often praised for its high quality of life and generous social benefits, has become one of the toughest places for Filipino immigrants in 2025. The Norwegian government introduced stricter labor laws that limit opportunities for non-European workers. So far, more than 500 Filipinos, many of them working in the oil, shipping, and domestic sectors, have been deported. Some were removed after failing to meet new income requirements, while others lost their status due to sudden policy changes. Even long-time residents with steady jobs have not been spared. Critics warn that Norway is turning its back on diversity. Employers complain that they are losing reliable workers, especially in industries where Filipinos have excelled for decades. Despite growing backlash, government officials insist their priority is protecting Norwegian jobs first. Filipino communities are calling for help from the Philippine government, but with limited diplomatic pressure, many are left to fend for themselves. Number 4. Denmark. Denmark, a country admired for its strong economy and high living standards, has also begun a mass deportation campaign in 2025. Immigration officials have tightened checks on work permits and residency applications, resulting in the deportation of more than 450 Filipinos so far. Many of those affected were domestic workers, healthcare staff, and seafarers. Officials claim these measures are necessary to control the rising number of immigrants, but critics argue that the policies are discriminatory and unfairly target non-Europeans. Families are suffering, with many Filipinos who have lived in Denmark for years suddenly forced to leave behind their children and homes. Advocacy groups say the deportations are tearing apart communities and damaging Denmark's international reputation. Despite protests, the government shows no sign of reversing its policies. Number 3. France. France, known for its culture, art, and history, has surprised many by becoming one of the most aggressive countries in deporting Filipinos in 2025. More than 1,500 Filipinos have already been deported, making France one of the most difficult places to live for immigrants this year. The government has stepped up raids on immigrant communities, particularly in Paris and Marseille. Officials argue they are addressing illegal immigration, but many Filipinos with valid jobs and documents are being denied renewals without clear explanation. Families who have been in France for decades are suddenly uprooted. Children born in the country are facing the risk of losing their parents to deportation. Protests have erupted across major cities, with labor unions joining Filipinos in demanding a stop to the crackdown. Still, the French government remains firm, citing rising public pressure to reduce immigration. Number 2. United Kingdom. The United Kingdom has historically welcomed Filipino workers, particularly in healthcare, domestic service, and hospitality. But in 2025, the UK government launched one of the strictest deportation drives in Europe. More than 2,000 Filipinos have already been deported. Officials claim that immigration must be reduced to protect British jobs after the economic downturn. Work visas have become harder to obtain, and even long-term residents are struggling to meet new financial and language requirements. Many Filipino nurses, who played a crucial role during the pandemic, are now being told to leave. Filipino communities in London, Birmingham, and Manchester are organizing rallies to fight the deportations. Human rights groups argue that Britain is turning its back on the very workers who helped sustain its healthcare system during critical times. Despite public sympathy, the government shows no signs of reversing its policies. Number 1. The Netherlands. At the top of the list is the Netherlands, which has taken the harshest stance against Filipino immigrants in 2025. More than 2,500 Filipinos have been deported, the highest number in Europe this year. The Dutch government has implemented strict new residency rules, requiring higher income levels and tougher language exams. Many Filipinos, even those who have been working legally for years, are unable to meet these new standards. Officials argue the changes are necessary to maintain social balance, but critics call them discriminatory and damaging. Entire Filipino families are being forced to leave the Netherlands with little notice. Some have had to abandon homes, businesses, and even children enrolled in Dutch schools. Protests are growing, with both Dutch citizens and Filipino groups demanding fair treatment. However, the government continues to defend its policies, leaving thousands of Filipinos in despair. These are the 10 European countries that are currently deporting large numbers of Filipinos in 2025. From Italy to the Netherlands, many families are being separated, and communities are being torn apart. Filipinos who have contributed to these societies for decades are now facing an uncertain future. What do you think about this situation? Should the Philippine government do more to protect its citizens abroad? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next update.